everybody. Welcome to the Fire It Up with CJ show. I have my all-time favorite, James Wanless, the creator of the Voyager Tarot. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Wow, this should be an interesting show here.
I know. I called James up saying, I'm really dismayed. Please help me. And you're going to help me, right?
Well, what do you mean I'm going to help you?
You're going
What?
to help me figure out what's going on with Trump. I have a hard time reading this gentleman. And we started this interview yesterday. Then we had I had some software problems, but we were able to pull some cards beforehand. And we
Right,
did a show during the primaries in which
right,
we were looking at Trump and we were looking at Hillary, but we were looking at Trump vis-a-vis his other Republican candidates and Hillary vis-a-vis
right,
the other candidates.
right.
And tell us the cards that we pulled up. So we took his birthday, which was reported as June 14th, 1946. So
That,
you took his birthday, June 14th, which is 0614, which adds up to 11. Then you took his birth year, 1946, added those together, which was 1957, added those together, which was 22, added those together, which was 4. So he has 2 cards. Not everyone has 2 life cards, but he does.
yeah, this is what we call life cards. And life cards are based on your numbers, like you just added up, and also your astrology, your sun sign.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, like you said, he adds his numbers add up to 22.
Mm-hmm.
The 22nd card in the tarot is actually the 0 card. That's because there's 22 of these personality archetypes. So the 22nd one is actually the 0 card. It's the 22nd card, which is the Fool.
Mm-hmm.
One of his life cards is the Fool, but then you add 2 plus 2 together, and you get 4, which is the Emperor, the total opposite of the Fool.
Mm.
So, and then he's a Gemini, June 14th or whatever, and that means this and that, the Fool and the Emperor. And the Emperor obviously is his business interests, being rich and successful and full of ego and all of that. That's very emperorish, and now apparently president. But
Is the Fool the part that grabs ladies' crotches? Is that the Fool part?
yeah, maybe. Fool is the most unpredictable of the archetypes. It's like whatever.
Right.
And then the Gemini is Geminiacal. It could be this, it could be that. So that's those are enigmatic kinds of life cards. Let's just
Yeah.
put it.
Yeah, to have him
Uh,
so diametrically opposed and then
right,
having the Gemini being flipping back and forth.
right, exactly.
Mm.
So fuck.
Well, aren't we experiencing that? I feel like we're really experiencing that.
Well, we are, and the psychologists are having a field day with him. I
Yeah.
mean, some really brilliant. I mean, psychologists are not supposed to do this. Actually, analyze somebody from a distance and say, "Well, we think this guy's got whatever."
Yeah. Okay, what are they saying that he has? I
Well,
haven't
he's got
read
all
these.
sorts of issues, but let's not. Let's see what the cards
Okay,
have.
let's see what the cards say. Okay, so the first question that I asked yesterday before we had technical difficulties was what are some positive things that we can know about Trump? And you pulled up which card, just show everyone which card it was.
Death. Now, this is from the Voyager Tarot deck.
Right.
This is a New Guinea death mask. It's pretty ominous looking, but ultimately it's the change card. It's transformation, and definitely that is true. And you know, as a social scientist and a political scientist and all the rest, I mean, change is good, but change comes with difficulties. I mean, like they say, there is no construction without destruction.
Mm-hmm.
There's no new solutions without dissolution. And before there's any change, there's got to be entropy, where
Mm-hmm.
things die and all of that in order to be rebuilt.
Right.
So in a way, this is an alchemical transformation of change, and it makes sense. So, like they say, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
Right.
So by the change he's bringing about, which irritates a lot of people, because nobody likes change. We love status quo. We love comfort zone.
Right.
So it's hard for people, but ultimately that makes people stronger, more resolved in who they are. And it sharpens the knives, if you will. In a sense, it makes us smarter, more, do I really believe what I believe in, and all of that. So ultimately, it's a good thing. Ultimately.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So it's kind of forcing people who to really challenge, like, what are their values? Are they congruent or not congruent? And where are they aligned or not aligned? And what are they going to do about it, right?
Exactly. Are you really going to stand up for what you purport to be saying you believe in? Like, come on, prove it, show it to us. So he does his thing. It's going to allow force other people to stand up for their thing now.
Right.
So that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Okay. So then the other question, we started going into, who is he and what do we need to know? What was the question that we asked? What do we need to know about his psyche, right?
Well, yeah, it was something like that. But the card we picked again, though, was the positive side of his presidency,
Right.
and it was the Hermit. The Hermit.
Ah, okay, right.
The Hermit. Now the
Oh no,
Hermit.
yeah, we pulled two cards, and that was the second one, the Hermit.
Yeah, right. When we picked another one, we'll get to that.
Yeah, right.
The Hermit is a Virgo card, which is it's grounded. I mean, it's a very down to earth archetype, basically, and solid in his or her own beliefs, whatever they might be. The little bit of the downside with the Hermit as a president is it's a very isolated, insulated, closed off person who really doesn't care what other people or his advisors even say. Like, I don't care. I will follow my own counsel. And I think if you're president of a large society like America, it's very pluralistic and diverse. You do want to be listening to
Right.
who
Right.
you're the president of. The Hermit has a tendency not to listen.
Oh, interesting.
So in a way, I don't think it's the greatest quality to have in an elected leader.
Right. But then you also said it's someone who actually thinks carefully about decisions and whatnot. Didn't you say that yesterday too?
Well, that's the Virgo-ness aspect of the Hermit, and can be also what I think is also a good aspect about the Hermit. Also, very considered, let's say, although he seems to be quite like the fool child, spontaneous and off the wall with a lot of his stuff. I mean, there, but it has some really, really good features, and the Hermit's quite conservative. So he might be saying all sorts of stuff about whatever, but really, at the end of the day, I don't think a lot of that is going to happen. So, I mean, a lot of people, we're in this collective trauma for a lot of people, which doesn't exist, traumatized by his inflammatory words. But the Hermit is not, the actions of a Hermit is really not all of that stuff at all.
Interesting. Right. So the Hermit, even though the Hermit may be kind of talking smack to us, getting us all riled up, his actions aren't going to be too crazy.
Right. And that's good news.
Yes, that is good news.
Given everything he said, I mean, it would be, I don't know what the vision would be, frankly.
Well, I think we have some, like, based on who he's been surrounding himself with, it's about, being more nationalistic, closing off, making sure the people, our needs as a country are met.
Right.
Treating life as a business. Like, we know some things, I think.
Let's put up that wall,
Right.
and who's going to build the wall? Oh, maybe Trump Construction or something. I mean, I have a big problem with the conflict of interest here.
Yeah.
But that's another issue. But we did pick another card.
Yeah. And what was that card for, though? I couldn't remember.
Asking about what's the advantage, or what about the Trump being presidential?
Oh, yes, presidential. What do we need to know about Trump being presidential?
Presidential.
Yes.
And that's a big, it's because it's symbolic. A lot of presidential is symbolic.
Right.
You got to act like a president,
Right.
And we got a very strange little card for that one. It's the Child of Cups, called the Feeler. And the Feeler, this is of all the cards probably in the Voyager deck, the most immature. Emotionally. I mean, this is a guy who wakes up in the middle of the night and tweets off something weird.
Right.
Abusive or whatever, because I feel like it. This is called the Feeler. It's a kid. Oh, I don't like that. Maybe. So you don't know where this person's coming from. This is not presidential.
Right. Right. That's someone who's acting impulsively, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's not someone who you want to be impulsive.
See, back to the Hermit, though. The Hermit is a person who's quite conservative and considered in his actions.
Yeah, it's a very weird mix. It's this Gemini feeling again.
It's the Gemini, remember, he's Geminiacal. He's that lover's card, which is this and that, and says this but does this, and rah, 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 this dance.
Right.
I mean, I think commentators and writers and reporters are going to have a field day with this president.
Yeah, he's very unpredictable, and that's what is just so. I think it's the
That's
fear of the unknown because you don't know which is going to show up.
Well, it's showtime, and
Yeah.
that's his genius. Is he knows how to do show. People are addicted to drama,
Right.
and drama does bring trauma. There's
Right.
no doubt about it. But even though we're traumatized by it, God, what's he going to say next? Oh my God, what about this? It's soap opera. I mean, it's back to that show that he put on or whatever. We are
The
addicts.
Apprentice.
Media, showtime, and this is ultimate showtime.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's go to his governance and what do we need to know about the people that he selected to surround him? Because I think if you go around to most liberal folks, most traumatizing thing is the people that he selected because they're so very different. They're usually business oriented. They want to roll back a lot of the regulations that have been, and so people that have been put in the environment and labor, like everything. So what do we need to what's let's actually start with the good. What are some good what do we need to know about positive things that the people who selected will do? Let's try to be optimistic.
Well, yeah, I mean, right. His cabinet he's selecting ministers who are totally anti whatever they're running, of course.
Yeah.
All right. What is the positive
What's
side
the
of it?
positive? Okay, so you have a deck of cards.
The Voyager cards, I'm going to put them all down here, face down over here, no cheating,
Okay.
all face down. And CJ, you're going to be take responsibility. You tell me when
Okay,
to.
now.
Right now? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. I had, the harvest.
Oh.
Harvest is an ultimate business card. And this is the richest cabinet in the history of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you put up all the amount of money that these cabinet ministers have, the billionaires,
Mm-hmm.
they are richer than an amazing percentage of the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be ruled by the rich.
Mm-hmm.
And harvest cards. So that's what we're going to be looking at is, to me, the bottom line will be, is our economy going to do better as a result of having this all in there or not?
Because the harvest card to me seems like at the very end of the year, you've done all this hard work and then you get to harvest all the fruits of your labor. So could that also be viewed that way?
Sure, it can. I mean, it's a very positive card, and we're hopeful for this, that at the end of the day, at the end of his term, whatever that might be, yeah, there was a lot of good that came out of that. It's a very positive card.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah. But what it tells us is that we may be able to harvest something, or that the people who are there have already harvested. But I think my question was, what good can we take from, what good will this cabinet do? All right, let's draw another card just to get clarity. What good will happen as a result of this particular cabinet?
Okay, tell me when to stop.
Okay, now.
Right there. Okay. All right. Brilliance.
Okay, that's nice too.
Oh, it's an ace. Aces are high. There's only 4 of them in the deck. Mm-hmm. And this is Ace of Crystals, which is mental in Voyager, and it's called Brilliance. So, I mean, these are smart guys. I mean, they're smart guys, and they're articulate and able to put forth their brilliance there, and it's a star. So they're putting out a different vision, a vision maybe we haven't shared or it's foreign to us, but that's okay. Right. It's a well articulated vision, and that's fine. Right. I'm looking at these cards. Frankly, I'm not traumatized or trumpetized or terrified by his presidency, according to these cards.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So that's good. All right. So shall we pull another one, or should we? What questions are popping up for you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wonder. Okay, I wonder about environment. Okay. Let's start with that one. really into what's going on in, with our
Right, in the environment. Like, do you mean like, okay, so here's what all the progress that has been happening. We've been investing in a ton of alternative energy sources, and now Trump comes along. We're going to be investing in coal again. The guy from who's the person? Is it Rick Perry? Is he the one who is
yeah,
running?
yeah, right.
Who wants to let like he's like
Anti EPA. I mean,
yes.
but this is the nature of the cabinet
Yeah.
selections here.
Yeah, so he's kind of like scary because to me he's like, let's drill some more oil, let's actually take some of
Right,
these lands and turn them into oil mine. Like that's the feeling.
right.
So, what do we need to, can we use, should we try your other cards or use it? Which ones do you want to pull?
Yeah, I do have the nature deck here. 101 green wisdom cards. They're green,
Okay.
so let's do that. So,
Okay. What do we
y-
need to know about what's the impact on the environment? What will be the impact on the environment?
well, let me just say briefly here. Maybe this is why we have states' rights.
Mhm.
California. Let's just take California for a second. Is the 10th largest economy in the world. California, just by itself,
Wow.
the
That's
10th
fascinating.
largest economy.
Mhm.
Okay, California is by far, of all political entities in the world, is the most progressive when it comes to environment,
Mhm.
by far.
Mhm.
And California has already got a legal fund to not give in to anything that is coming from the presidency or the federal government, and,
Interesting.
and negotiating directly with China. Whereas forget about America.
Right.
California is going directly, so that's kind
Wow,
of
that's fascinating.
it is fascinating. But that's the kind of the good that can come out of this. It's going to make people really, know who they are more strongly and stand up
Right.
for beliefs,
Right.
and yeah, that's good. Okay, so what does nature want to say about Trump presidency?
Right.
Okay, so tell me when to stop on this.
Okay, now.
Right there. Okay, got a card. This should be interesting. Wow. It's called Elephant and Saturn Gravity. It's a Saturn planet and an elephant. It's my collage work here. So
Yeah, what does that mean?
it's a Republican symbol, isn't
Mm-hmm. It is.
it? Kind of heavy-footed, heavy-handed, heavy-trunked, or trunk.
Right.
And Saturn here is very much structure and all of that. It's called Elephant Saturn is called gravity or grave. I,
Hmm.
me, this is a heavy, and they didn't even debate this in all of their debates. They never talked about environment.
They
I
didn't?
think, I think of all things that could do us in, and once environment gets on you're on the bad side of it, you're screwed.
Right.
I mean, so many civilizations like the Maya and all that have all gone down because they did not take care of the water or whatever,
Right.
you know. So I think this is a grave, grave issue, and one that people are talking more about the politics and the foreign policy and blah, blah, blah. Oh, this one's heavy.
Right.
This is heavy. That's all
Hmm.
about it. It's ponderous, and I don't feel real good about this.
Yeah, it's funny because when someone was actually doing a review on the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and they're saying that a lot of the laws have been interpreted in the most liberal way, and that they were going to go and like basically do just what the law requires versus trying to go above and beyond and those kind of things. And so,
Right,
maybe when I look at that card, that's what that resonates with me. Like
right. And,
looking
and,
at
and
the
the
laws and just doing just what
and
the laws require. Yeah.
and it's the elephant here is more of a heavy footprint,
Mm-hmm.
human footprint.
You're saying like the the impact that the humans will have on the environment, or like
Yeah, basically here. And this is not one you can fool around with or futz around with and any of that kind of stuff, I mean, China, which is making some gain, like for example, Beijing, there's it's so toxic.
hmm
But what is Beijing doing now? What are they doing? They're talking about the polluted air is a weather thing. It has nothing to do with carbon or anything like that or coal. It's a weather issue.
Wow.
Well, There's so many ways of deflecting this kind of stuff, and this was the thing that frightens me more than anything out of this
Right.
president.
Yeah, actually, me too. It's one thing that I think, well, if there's anything that the damage cannot be undone, the environment is the damage that, like, it's,
Exactly
yeah,
what you're, because
yeah.
once it's undone, whoa,
Okay.
once you've broken the egg, you can't put the egg back
Okay,
together
can
again.
we get, do you think you could ask the tarot deck, like, what kind of damage we could expect?
From I mean, on the environmental side,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. So we're seeing something heavy-handed, but what kind of damage could we
okay,
expect?
okay,
Could
all
we
right.
ask that?
Tell me when to stop.
Okay, now.
Right there. Yeah, Voyager's human psychology, and we're humans, so we want to know what his nature is going to do to us
Right.
here. Integrity,
Hmm.
integrity, um, integrity is a warrior card. This is the church card. I mean, this is the backbone. This is a spiritual warrior
Hmm.
standing up for truth, righteous, and justice, kind of a thing. Doing the right thing, not the easy thing, the right thing. I mean, this is not a business card
Hmm.
at all. This is not a money card. It's not an economy card. It's the right thing
Well, so
to.
what? Well, we asked the question, what kind of damage can it be done? And it says integrity. So it will damage our integrity.
Well, it will, no, what it'll do, it will bring up this whole issue of what is I mean, I'm not just, I'm putting coal miners out of business or something like that. This is not an economic deal. It's really asking us to examine our own hearts, our own souls. Instead of going to war and trying to dominate nature, is that's the right thing to do? I don't think it's saying we're all going to go down here in the next 4 years environmentally. I don't think it's saying that. Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely going to catalyze within us, who are we as human beings and how
Right.
we do this
Yeah.
kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I mean, on Trump's watch, if elephants all die, that's not a good thing. The fact
Right.
we got elephants, which is a GOP Republican symbol, and we got the elephant card for environment. If there's one thing this guy could do, would be to save the elephants.
Okay, so but what it's interesting is saying is that, so I asked what damage could it do, and I guess what you pulled up is integrity. So it's really it's not necessarily damage, but the challenge, the opposition comes in us really kind of questioning what is it that we believe in the environment,
Yes,
and
right.
that's the thing that's going to be in opposition. We're going to have to really think carefully, and people may have different opinions about that. I mean, we know already that people have different opinions on that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah, but that there is no difference of opinion. You don't go around killing trees.
Right.
You don't go around killing. That's an integrity issue, and it's not an economic issue.
No, but I think his stuff is like, it's basically, well, I guess you're saying the same thing. Like if you put a whole bunch of coal plants, that's, and then
You killing the
you're
air,
killing
well,
the air, right? And killing animals as a
killing
result.
us, and killing everything.
Yeah,
It's it's murder.
right. Okay. All right. So, any other questions you want to ask about the environment?
No.
Okay. That I don't know what to think of that. Um,
I think, of course, I think of what a lot of people are afraid of is the whole nuclear war, his foreign policy stuff, and talking big against this, and they can't do that, and all the rest.
yeah. So, how about foreign? So, what do we actually say? What do we need to know about his foreign policy?
What about foreign relations under Trump? What
Okay.
about
What
that?
do we need to know about foreign relations under Trump?
Right, right, right. And he's very, uh, yeah, we know a lot of his stand on different things and
Yeah.
all of that. So, what about all of that? Tell me when to stop.
What do we need to know about foreign relations? Okay. Now.
Right there. Okay. Um, I'm not back to that environment. I'm not that, I don't get like killing them. I don't talk like that. But that card integrity really sparked that in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I don't usually go there,
Right. Right.
but integrity. I mean, it's righteous and the right
Right.
thing to do. And okay. Anyway, back to foreign policy. Wow, setback.
Ooh. Oh. That just makes my heart hurt.
Terrific. Moving right along.
Okay. Do you need to interpret the card, or is the card self-evident?
Well, setback is not great, but you wonder. I mean, to me, a lot of foreign relations are about opinion about people. Oh, we don't like you. We don't like Americans. What about the French? You know, a lot of it's so what.
Yeah.
So what? Here, I think once he gets into actually having to do stuff with Russia and do stuff with China and all that, I think it goes back to a lot of that hermit conservative stuff. Talk big, don't do that much.
Ah, I see.
You know,
I can
okay,
see that.
yeah, but at the end of the day, again, boy, you just can't be sending, troops out there to invade whatever and do this and do that. I just don't see it happening.
I think here's my interesting card. I think what do we need to know about Trump's underlying intentions with respect to Russia, and what do we need to know about Russia's underlying intentions with us? Could we do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we need to know about Trump's, like, what is he trying to do with Russia?
Okay. Let's see a card. Tell me when to stop.
Okay, now.
You know. I mean, I don't. Yeah. Okay. A negativity. Fine.
Awful.
Well, we picked two number fives in a row.
Right.
You picked them.
Okay. Yes.
I'm not responsible. But the fives are the cards of the teacher / lesson learner. These are lesson cards. Lessons, and lessons. So I think there's going to be a lot of learning. We hope the learning goes on. But negativity is not great. Let's put it that way. I don't know exactly. The question was, what about our relations with Russia, our intentions and theirs vis-a-vis us here? I think a lot of Trump, as a political scientist who kind of looks at people and their policies.
Right. That's your background, just for people who don't know. You're a political scientist.
Political science. I used to work in politics in New York.
Right.
I worked on presidential campaign once with a Republican by the name of Nelson Rockefeller, the governor of New York.
Wow.
And stuff like that. So I have a little bit of experience with this stuff. I think my impression of his foreign policy stuff is all based on people. It's all personal. And he likes Putin because he's a strong leader. And he sees himself, Trump, as a strong leader. He likes strength in people. But that's not dealing with the geopolitics of Russian oil and all this kind of stuff at all.
It's just like, I'd like to go have a beer with you.
Exactly. But once you find out that we have very real differences with you, even though I want to have a beer with you, then that's the negativity. Again, that goes back to the setback. I just think once you get into really starting to make policies and how to carry them out and I don't think there's that much movement that we're going to see.
Okay, so those are two cards about Trump and his intentions, right? So let's do one on Putin. Like, what's Putin's? Like, what is his whole deal with all the whole code into the controlling or election process? What do we need to know? What do we need to know about Putin's intentions? How about that?
You pick the card for him.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay, now.
Now, I did get a card. I got the Seer, Sage of Wands. Well, that's a mutual, admiration society between the two of them, between Trump and Putin, because they both like to be strong leaders, very testosterone guys, and that kind of stuff. And Putin's not a dumb guy.
Right.
Obviously, the Seer is one who's got a lot of insight and a lot of fire that's there. But so what? I'm not quite clear. What was the question again?
What do we need to know about Putin and his intentions? And so it's like, okay, well.
Intentions. Honestly, I don't. Probably a seer's somebody who can see things, but not exactly do things. seers.
Mm-hmm.
Really, a seer is somebody who's got an opinion or a vision or something, but not an actioneer.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Brainiac kind of person. But when you look at the hacking and all of that, that's actually action
Yeah.
there. But that's a foreign policy arm of seeing how much influence we have with other countries and
Right.
probe it in a
Right.
cyber way. And they got away with a lot.
Right. No kidding. Okay. All
Oh,
right. Well, I think the report's coming out soon, so I guess we'll know more about that. Okay, so let's actually talk about morals and ethics.
what do you mean?
What we need to know about, because there's so many things that are first, right? It's the first time that I've ever seen, daughters and son-in-laws be involved in the administration and interviewing people, and the ethics committee. There's this
Right.
big hoo-ha
Well,
about that.
yeah, well, that's like nepotism and cronyism and
Right.
bring, it's bringing in family, which is kind of a no-no.
Yeah, and then there's conflicts of interest with Trump's business entities and
Well,
his foundation. There's it's just mired
that's
with ethics and moral dilemmas.
right,
So,
right.
what do we need to know about Trump's ethics and morals
Okay,
generally? How about
okay.
that?
Tell me when to stop on that. But the conflict of interest there is
There is.
huge.
There's just so many
You
it's
make
like what
more,
he's and his tax records never
uh,
yeah, I mean or maybe yeah, okay, let's ask what we need to know about his what do we need to know about his moral and ethics?
okay, really? Okay, let's pick a card. Tell me when to stop.
Okay, now.
Right there. Uh, might makes right, basically. I mean, if you look at his record, which, by the way, there's a whole new biography that came out about his life for the last 30 years, been followed by a reporter,
Right.
New York. It's New York because that's where the guy
Right.
lived. And Trump's work with the mafia is legendary. It's
What did he do with the mafia?
well, he was in bed with them, and that's why he got buildings built that nobody else in New York could do.
Wow.
Deal with the mafia, but he had no problem with the mafia.
Yeah.
Powerless power, and they'll work together and all the rest. So there you go. Anyway, another sage card, the Regenerator.
Okay.
Uh,
So that's like what do we need to know about his moral and ethics, and what does that mean?
it means nothing about that. No, I mean, it's not about moral or ethics with him.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's not. He's into, making the economy work, or, the riches flow. He just wants this flow of life to be happening. And who cares how it's done? Who cares if I hang out with mafia? Who cares if I do the Putin and all the rest? The strong guys, the gangsters. Who cares? As long as it's working.
I see. Okay, I get it. So it's like it doesn't matter as long as the vision is being forwarded. Who cares?
Who cares?
Okay,
Irrelevant.
interesting. Okay, that kind of makes sense, though, doesn't it? Like that gives me some insight.
Well, that's his philosophy of life. I mean, if you really look at his philosophy, it's might makes right. And I'm going to go for whatever I want. And if you don't want it, you got to stand up for me. And if you weak and fall down, that's your problem. And I'm running over you. I mean, it's clear. It's all right there. I mean, it's nothing new at all. I just hope with foreign policy, I mean, poor little Mexico, I mean, running over Mexico is insane. But that would be his MO. But I think once you're in presidency, you can't, I don't think that all that's going to happen.
Yeah, you're just
Yeah.
saying big words, not going to really happen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
how about social issues? It seems like, immigration, gay rights,
Oh,
women
really?
rights, like it just feels like all that. Someone said, I think we're just going to reverse all the good work we've done over the last, you know,
Really?
decades of work. So the question is, what's the question? What would be the question? How
Well,
much?
What about that? I mean, just
Yeah, what
what,
do we need to know about the social issues? Are we, yeah,
you know,
yeah, what progress, if any, or are we going forward or backwards? So what's the question? What do we need to know about social issues?
what was the most amazing movie of the year I saw, and not that it was a great movie, was called All the Way. And the All the Way was about LBJ,
Hmm.
American President. It was All the Way with LBJ. That was his campaign slogan.
Mhm.
It was fascinating how this guy was a consummate politician in the best sense of the word politician, meaning we're advancing the country and the culture by wheeling and dealing with people I can't stand who are ideologically on the other side of the aisle, but we're going to wheel and deal and make deals so it's going to happen. That's how we got the Voting Rights Act in.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
vote. But
Right.
a lot of this is ideological stuff now, where people can't even talk and nothing happens.
Right. Right.
We have this intransigent political broken system because nobody talks to each other.
Right.
That's what the brilliance of that movie was. Okay, so what was the question anyway? It was about.
Did you already pull the card? What do we need to know about social issues?
Okay, tell me when to stop, CJ.
Okay. Now.
Right there. Okay. Okay, right there. Yeah, that's and I mean, talk about women, and I mean, it's just, yeah, okay. Uh, Another Sage, the Master card.
This is beginning to be fascinating. Like, how many Sage cards are there?
4. There's only 4 in the deck.
And we pulled 3 out of 4 out of them?
In a row. In a row.
That's weird.
I think, again, those Sages, they don't. I think he knows well enough you don't mess with that. You just don't. You just transcend that. You're not going to get into that. I don't see him tweeting about, oh, she's a hot babe and I want to grab her crotch or whatever,
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He's not going to go there. In other words, he's smart enough to know, don't go there.
So he's not going to do anything, good or bad,
Nothing.
neutral.
Let it alone. Don't need to bring that up. He's got enough problems. He's got enough issues on his
Right.
hands.
Yeah, that's a low priority issue.
Absolutely.
So he's not going to. To me, it's not like he's no. We're not going to backslide, but we'll just stay neutral.
Exactly. Thank you. That's the right word.
Okay.
Is-
Interesting. Okay, so now I want to know. So we have Republican Congress, Republican Senator, Republican, President. So what's going to happen? We saw the little things with the ethics committee where they kind of brought up something, and he's like, no. So what do we need to know about how government is going to work? So far, it's been fundamentally broken and bipartisan and awful. So
Right.
what do we need to know about how it's going to work with the Trump administration?
Okay. Good. That's a brilliant. You're a real good political analyst.
I
here.
am. Well,
Yes.
that makes me feel really good, given that that's your actual training and background.
Very adroit questions.
Thank
They're
you.
insightful. I mean,
Okay.
okay, fine. I mean, because you actually think about these, because a lot of people can't even come up with a question other than, "Oh my God, what about that?" You know what I mean? Hysteria.
I'm there too. But
Yeah.
okay, ready?
Okay, tell me when to stop.
Okay, now.
Okay, the nature of the government now that we have a majority, a Republican
Right.
majority.
Yeah. What should we expect with what's going to happen with governance generally?
Fear. Maybe it's all justified here. It was a scary card. You have a right to be paranoid. Or, anxiety kicking in here. Wow. Well,
Okay, we need another card beyond that because that.
I mean, the good news is there's actually a government that can actually do things.
Right.
But what are they doing is the question. So can we just carry on with this one? So now they have a majority of Republican, blah, blah, blah. So, but where is it going to take us other than we're afraid?
Right.
Fine, but let's pick another
Okay.
card.
Where is it? Where
What-
is this? What kind of things? What are the outcomes of this group?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
Okay, now. Okay, I got a card. Okay. The Achiever.
Oh.
Achiever.
Okay.
So this is, again, a very good business card. This is an economy card. That it goes back to that harvest card
Mm-hmm.
picked up earlier. So, in fact, the bottom line will be not about foreign policy, not about making friends, not about social issues, none of that. Because his thing is all about money and leverage. He's going to use the leverage of America. He's looking at America as a corporate America, corporate America. And what is corporate America going to do in this world of business?
Hmm.
And this is a really great card.
Okay, good. All right, so that's actually pretty positive. How
That's fine.
about let's going to economy. What do we? So we have a whole bunch of business-oriented people now in power.
Right.
Um, what do we need to know about our economy, or should we do like how
Well, one of the
businesses?
things, I mean, it's going to be government by the rich here. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So
But
what?
my major concern about my question would be, what about this incredible inequality of wealth in
Right.
America?
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, America compared to every other
It's
European
just
country.
yeah.
Oh, it's outrageous.
Right.
Where America is supposed to be the land of the free and the equal and all that. Sorry,
Okay.
it's getting worse. The division between the haves and the have-nots is insane in
Okay.
America.
That's a great question. So what is it that we need to know about economic equality or the
Right,
yeah? Okay. Okay. What
right,
do we need to know about economic equality under the Trump administration?
right. Okay.
I think I
Tell,
already know the card, but I'm not trying to bias it. Okay.
tell, stop. Tell me when to stop.
Okay, now.
Right there. I wonder what card you're thinking of. Well, that's the Guardian card. The Guardian is like, whoa, whoa. The Guardian is the Guardian. I mean, this is not a person. I mean, this is something you don't take this issue lightly here at
Mm,
all. I mean, this is serious um, here, and so I don't think it's saying, is it going to get better or worse? I don't think this card is just kind of like that elephant in Saturn is saying, whoa, pay attention to this.
okay.
Because actually, the GNP, let's say, of America might grow, which was the achiever card,
Right.
good business card.
Right.
But that's good for maybe people who own businesses,
Right.
you know. But what about the poor?
Right.
And getting more poor. And this one says, whoa, this is an issue you have to pay attention to.
You're saying that the inequality you're saying is going to be an issue, or it's like this is
Huge,
going to be an issue. Okay.
huge issue, and ultimately can lead to all sorts of revolutions, riots, and resolutions.
Right. Right. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So that doesn't look. Is it so? Really, what got Trump elected was the folks in the middle states that said, "Hey, we want you to bring manufacturing back. We want to have decent paying jobs. We don't want our jobs going to different countries anymore."
Right,
Um,
right.
what can what what's the question? What can we say about are things going to be better for them, or what's the question?
Well, okay, for the people who elected him,
Right,
honestly, a lot of whites who have been put out of business
right,
because of so-called foreign trade. Actually, machines have put more people out of
right,
business than China.
right.
It's machines. Come
I
on,
know. It's
real about this. It has nothing to do with trade.
right,
And I think making trade is such a bogeyman. That is ridiculous. It's about us owning us and being so entrepreneurial that we're supposed to be, and inventive that we're supposed to be. Let's grow ourselves and develop ourselves, and who cares what anybody else does? Let's
right,
grow from within,
right,
you know, and get people back into education so they can become effective in the kind of economy that we can build. Has nothing to do with the rest of the world. But
right.
that's sorry. Okay.
Okay. What can the Trump constituents have voted for him expect? What can they expect? How will their lives change as a result of?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because they
How? What can those his core constituents expect, and how or what will he
right.
deliver on his promise, or what should we say? Will he?
You got those are all. That's the right. We know what
Okay.
the question.
Okay.
You got it right. You got it right. Brilliant. You're so good. Tell me when to stop.
Now.
What can those people who elected him expect? In terms of their own, you know, change. Good
Okay.
card.
Good. Okay. That's a good or pop. We don't know if it's good or bad. We just know it's change.
Well, it's usually okay. It's an evolution. It's not anything dramatic, I'll tell you that. Now, this is incremental change.
Hmm.
This is the way nature changes. It's not it's slow and it's little bit by bit by bit. So it's nothing monumental.
Right.
Nothing. Again, it kind of goes back to all the big talk, but the real outcome is not a lot.
Right. Okay.
It's not a lot. I think America probably just kind of chugs along and does okay. Now, I don't think, honestly, this reading is telling me there's not going to be all that much change.
Right. It seems like there's going to be a lot of change given his volatile kind of Gemini-like nature. But
But I don't. I'm almost. So what? I mean, I just don't. Like, what happens in 4 years from now? Let's say he's not the president. Then we have. It's really interesting.
He can't do that much damage, is what you're thinking.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
That is the truth. But, obviously with a Republican majority in everything government, but still you've got a ton of bureaucrats who have to make the machine work. And if they're not into working the machine.
Right. Regardless of who's at helm. Like, they don't care.
Exactly. Right. So,
Okay, can I ask a couple more questions? So I want to know how he makes decisions. Because I think that's the thing that's the boogeyman, right? Like, how is he making decisions? Because there's the kind of emotional, impulsive card, and then there's the kind of, hermit considered. Like, how does, when he needs to make important decisions, how does he make decisions?
Okay.
What do we need to know about how he makes decisions?
Tell me when to stop.
Okay, now.
The learner. Look, he's never been in this kind of position before. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, anybody who becomes president's in over their head. I mean, come on, it's daunting, and I don't think he has much of a clue, honestly,
right.
How it's all going to work out and how decisions are made. Because I don't think they're going to be made by Twitter,
right?
Tweets. Because his chief of staff, if he has one, if it's not his kid or something like that, I mean, I don't even know. I don't think they know. They don't know. They don't know how it's going to be made. I think it's very eclectic. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. I think it's going to be all over the map. I think it's going to be really messy. I think it's going to be chaos. I don't think you're going to be able to see any clarity, frankly. All out of this thing. I'm wondering, back to that change card, the death card that we picked first time. The death card was about this new presidency. I want to know what change there will be. Actually.
Okay, good, perfect. Right, because your general gist of this whole reading is like, I don't see he's going to do a lot of harm. Maybe the environment not so great. Maybe it's kind of scary, and they're going to do some things as a Republican Party. And they may do some things, but what change is really going to happen?
I think that, again, it's a lot of talk and a lot of bad talk, and I don't. But again, that's part of the drama.
Right.
It's a cosmic casting script, know. But what real change will there be?
Okay, good, perfect.
Okay, CJ, you're running the country right now. Tell me when to stop.
Good, perfect.
Madam CJ.
Okay, now.
Madam CJ. The actor, the man of wands, the actor. It's an act. I mean, this is the actor card here.
Right, so it's like it's going back to the drama and creating entertainment, but that's not a lot of change. Or maybe that's the change. It's going to feel like more dramatic. I don't know.
Yep. Well, that's what this card is. I mean, right. I'm really literally reading the card.
Okay.
a lot of fire.
Right.
But really?
Okay, so is there real? Okay, so what other kind of outcomes aside from acting are you gonna see?
Well, I think the change will be when he's out of the office, frankly, because this is gonna. I mean, there's a political change going on now. How do we even elect a president? What about the Electoral College?
Right.
I mean, the guy doesn't win the popular vote and is president.
Right.
I mean, that's got to be resolved somehow.
Right. Right.
So I mean, to me, this is a great opportunity to down the road for some real breakthroughs with this political system.
Yeah.
Here. I'm
Well,
not sure it's going to happen, but you
well,
know,
I know that people were not big George Bush fans, and neither was I as a person, but I would have to say he swung so far in one direction, and as a result of being that guy, Obama, an African American guy, got elected, which you would have never thought that that would have even happened,
right,
right? But it was
right,
because of Bush that this other,
right,
Obama even got elected. There was no way that he would have gotten elected except for Bush being so awful in so many different ways.
right.
But then I would even take Bush more than Trump at this point. But okay, so what you're saying in some ways he's not. It's this is just all an act, a story. So is there any like tangible outcome then that he's going to create?
Well, of course, the most serious cards that have come out of here, though, was this guardian around the inequality of wealth. That, by far, of all the cards we've looked at, is the one to really pay attention to.
Right. The
And
rich
that
are just going to get richer.
and that gets back to his constituency, who they think it's going to be good for them a little bit, but not really much,
Yeah.
frankly. The rich get richer, kind of a thing that's there. But Obama's his campaign manager and his chief of staff, I can't remember his name, who was there for a long time, smart guy, um, said his theory is, and you just said it, if you have a certain kind of personality type, the electorate will vote for another kind of person, the flip side opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So we went from Bush,
Mm-hmm.
this impulsive whateverness, to a very considered black man,
Mm-hmm.
total opposite,
Right.
I mean,
Thoughtful, measured, very likable, charismatic, blah blah
that
blah.
this total bombastic
Right.
actor, the big stick. Apparently, he's got a big stick. He told everybody during his campaign, you know.
Right.
But this is totally opposite to Obama.
Right.
So I mean, it's kind of this. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah.
And it's one of the laws of physics.
Right.
People don't get that. You don't know what the hell's going on in life.
Right.
And so we're seeing it being played out at this macro stage here. The only scary part about it is this is a person with some powers. I mean, a hand on the button.
Okay, can I ask one last question? Is there
Yeah.
going to be any irreversible things that are irreversible damage? Like damage that is irreversible that happens during this campaign, during his reign.
Okay. All right. Tell me when to stop.
Okay, now.
Right. Love. Oh, love.
What does that mean? What's irreversible damage? You mean he'll just get everyone to hate each other, or we'll all love each other? I don't understand.
I don't either. I don't think there'll be any irreversible damage,
Okay.
is what this is telling me.
Okay.
I don't see it being that. Again, it looks dramatic. It's scary as hell. But again, I just don't see that much happening. But we have underestimated this Trump thing the whole way through, too.
Right.
But the only way the results are not going to be really grave is if people, the so-called liberal progressives, get their act together and stand up. Like California is going to not take their environmental stuff. There are a lot of harbor cities that you're not going to come into our city and tell us to start rounding up illegals. You're not going to do that
Right.
because the cities have power.
Right.
Cities can stand up to the U.S. government.
Right.
Oh, totally. So that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of new powerful political entities and people come through.
I see. So like more power on the city and the state level, where it's like, no, I don't think you do, or you're
Right.
going to do that. Like
Right.
California, same thing with Seattle. It's like, no, you're
Right.
not going to do that. If you're
Totally.
going to like ship immigrants back, that's not going to happen.
Right, exactly. Which is
Yeah.
really interesting because Americans basically don't want a strong federal government. Well, in a sense, they are killing it
Yeah.
because now it is going to go back to states and cities.
Yeah. Well, that actually is the one interesting outcome, right? So then you can kind of rule it where you live. It's really going to be reflective of what you believe. And if you don't believe in a bunch of liberal ideas, don't move to California or the Northwest.
And just go along with D.C., go
Right.
along with the feds,
Right.
even if you profess to hate them.
Right.
But I think the big deal is he can't, if he starts messing with Social Security and all of that, you will have revolution. You will have blood on your hands.
I think you're right.
I mean, but that's the Guardian thing. The Guardian is all about who's making what and
Right.
who's not making what.
Right.
That's the big deal that's here.
Okay, so let's hear your recap of these cards. I know you've done it, but let's just, as we wrap up the show, what's your recap? How were you
Well,
feeling before? How are you feeling now?
well, I'm 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 thinking in the long run, it's okay that this is part of the nature of action and reaction, the
Right.
second law of thermodynamics.
Right.
These are all physical natural laws coming to play. This is alchemy and action. Things are broken down in order to be rebuilt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's messy.
Mm-hmm.
It is so freaking messy, and it is scary. We picked the the negativity card. We picked the fear card. So it's funky. It's not fun. It is change. Back to that death card. But let's say I'd like to pick the ultimate card. So ultimately, because of the dynamics,
Okay, perfect.
balancing of power and this balancing that goes on of light and day and this and that and all, okay, what happens down the road?
Okay, you pick the card.
All right, I'm going to pick a card for this one. Okay, and I'm going to pick the Hanged Man.
Oh,
The Hanged Man is not good.
no, it's not.
Well, the Hanged Man there is a very deep division in America,
Mm-hmm.
cultural division. It has nothing to do with, really, politics is kind of the,
Right.
tip of the iceberg.
It's a reflection of what's happening.
Exactly. So you have the two coasts and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really where the problem lies.
Mm-hmm.
We have two different countries.
Mm-hmm.
And to bring them together to do anything it's a standoff.
Mm-hmm.
The Hangman is hung up. We're not going anywhere fast. It's a lot of talk, a lot of posturing, and this and that, a lot of energy and all the rest. But we're still back to square zero.
Right,
we're going,
because we're not hitting the fundamental issue.
Exactly. And that's going to take, I think it's the generational thing. It's
Yeah.
going to, the millennials, because the millennials are not the Trump supporters.
No, they're not.
They're not. Okay. And the millennials, when they get into real power, and that's coming soon, but not in the next
Right, probably
8.
a decade from now, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Then you're beginning to see getting rid of the standoff. So I just think we're in this hung up situation.
Okay,
Or-
so let's draw one more card. Can we draw the card of all right, what can we do as individuals? All right. So this may or may not be the situation that you want it to be. It may or may not change. You may feel traumatized. What can we
Right.
do as individuals
Right.
during the next 4 to 8 years?
That's a brilliant question. You are.
I'm on
Wow.
fire. That's why they call it Fired Up with CJ, man.
Man. You are,
All right, ready?
wait a minute. No, wait a minute. I think, because that would be my gut feeling. Hey, forget about all of that. It's all about you.
Yeah, what are we going to do
With your
as
life.
individuals?
Right, exactly. Come on. Why even think about all that stuff?
Well, we can't control all of that other stuff, right?
It can't. It's out of control. Look at Okay. So what was the question again?
Okay, what can we as individuals? What's one piece of guidance that we as individuals should take away?
Yeah. Okay. Tell me when to stop, CJ.
Okay, now.
Okay, CJ. The Chariot.
Oh,
I love it. Of course, it's 7. It's the Charioteer, which is, hey, man, I am going for it, whatever it is for me. I have the green light to be me, live me, be me, go do me, harvest me, and all of that. And I'm not waiting for this hangman, kind of hung up political social situation. Forget that, because I'm just, what am I going to be, hang myself waiting for something, and waiting for what? We don't even know.
right.
This is the card of this is the mover and shaker in the deck.
Okay.
We're going to do me my way. Thank you very much.
That's a perfect card to end it.
It is perfect. I mean, this is brilliant. And I think this is one of the great outcomes of this whole hung up in this situation that we got, which is the
Right.
perfect card.
Right.
Cards
Right.
don't lie, but cards don't do. So, for all of your listeners and viewers here, this is our time, your time to really get on with you.
Mm.
Because otherwise, you're just, I don't know what you're waiting for. But
Well, yeah, don't get hung up on all these things you cannot control, right? You
it's,
can't control it. And even if you did, like, you go to Bush and then you go to Obama, then you go over to Trump, it's like, yeah, just live your life.
yeah, that's the drama. It's like, we're a spectator nation.
Right.
And this is the best drama going right now. I
Right.
mean, this
It
is,
is. Absolutely.
ooh, let's watch that and sit on my butt and watch that.
Right.
And become sedentary, because it's sedentary behavior disorder, which is a psychological freaking pathology. Because people are sitting around watching, spectator freaking nation. No, the chariot says, get off your butt, death by comfort, get out of your comfort zone, get out of your sofa, and get mobilized and move it.
Love it. Ah, that is like a perfect ending. James Wanless with this fabulous, fabulous reading. Thank you. I feel better. I feel better.
I'm empowered. I'm on fire, CJ.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. I would love your support in any way by giving me comments below, or to subscribe to the show, or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.